And for our next panel, we have From Retailer to a Customer, Bringing Blockchain to E-Commerce. Your moderator is Eric Bentz, investor, CryptoFriends, and ICOBench ambassador, founding member of UK Digital Currency Association. Please welcome Eric. Bobby Lee, co-founder of BTCC. Please welcome Bobby. Malikkhan Kotadia, global digital banker, Fintech mentor, and blockchain evangelist. Please welcome Malik. Melanie Mohr, CEO at M-Commerce Platform, YEAY, founder of Worm Token, IO, Gen Z, Entrepreneurship advocate. Please welcome Melanie. Dr. Pavel Kravchenko, information security, PhD, software engineer, founder at Distributed Lab. Please welcome Dr. And Austin Kimm, CEO at Crypterium, the world's first crypto bank accepting payments via NFC terminals or QR codes. Please welcome Austin. Thank you.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? Are we feeling okay today? Fantastic. Well, thank you for your attendance. And when I saw Bobby's face earlier backstage, I was thinking to myself, I remember being, well, not at this big stage in 2012, but some of the early conferences. And it's the support of the conference organizers and our attendees that give us the opportunity to discuss where we are in this ecosystem and give us an opportunity to also bring more people into the community, which is really what this is all about. So first off, I wanted to start by thanking the conference organizers as well as our audience members. So let's give everybody a round of applause. Thank you. And I'm really excited to be here back on stage. BlockShow has done a great job of bringing other members of the community together that we don't see at other conferences. So it's nice to see new faces and new projects that are coming every single day now. And just to give you a little quick background on myself, I'm actually my background is in psychology. I'm a psychology major. I actually studied consumer behavior for gambling addiction. And how I was going to help people and save them from all their problems. And then I realized very early on in my career that wasn't really going to make a lot of money. So I decided to start working with many of the big operators and early payment companies in developing their high-risk processing and acquiring channels for online gaming companies. And that was between 2003 all the way to about 2007, 2008 or so. And that kind of was what brought me into crypto. So I've been in Bitcoin now probably since 2012 and doing a lot of different things in the UK where I'm based. Started the UK Digital Currency Association where we do a lot of work in terms of our legislative frameworks there. And I also represent a lot of different companies. I'm also one of the co-founders of one of the larger Bitcoin card issuers called CryptoPay, which is also based there. Some of you probably know. So when it comes down to understanding consumer, retailer, and blockchain, I'm definitely well represented, and I think we're going to definitely go through that journey and understand kind of where we are today. I want to introduce the panel, the other panelists quickly as well. So why don't you guys go ahead? There's a mic to share between you guys.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Bobby Lee. I'm the co-founder of BTC China and BTCC. That started as China's very first Bitcoin exchange in 2011. I'm also a board member of Bitcoin Foundation. I've been in crypto since 2011. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Malik, and a big hello from Asia. I'm based in Singapore and different parts of Asia. And in terms of my background, I have spent 18 years in banking, in digital banking and e-payments, well before the terms fintech or peer-to-peer or crypto or any such sexy buzzwords were even there on the horizon. At that point of time, it was the plain, boring digital banking or digital finance, as we used to call it. So I have seen the evolution of 3 industries for the last 2 decades: financial services, digital, and I'm talking about a time when we used to run digital marketing when there was not even a Facebook or a Twitter which existed in our digital marketing plans. And the third is payment. So I have been fortunate to be at the cusp of these three industries. And for the last 2 years, I run a fintech platform, and I am a mentor to several fintech and blockchain companies from all around the world. We try to bring together these disruptive companies together with traditional incumbent players like banks, as well as we work closely with a lot of governments on policy making and understanding the impact of digital disruptive technologies and what it means for maybe the problems and challenges of emerging markets like Asia.
Hi, I'm Melanie Mohr. I'm the founder of YEAY, which is a social commerce platform mainly used by a lot of teenagers from 160 countries. Learned a lot, went out of beta in 2017. Now in 2018, the kids said, reward us through a token. And so we learned a lot from them, dived into blockchain and into what could we tokenize on our platform, and found out that peer-to-peer product recommendations, word-of-mouth marketing, are kind of the most powerful marketing existing on planet Earth, and that they should be rewarded, but that there are 2.1 billion product recommendations made every day on other social platforms, and so we could actually create a whole marketing protocol that would solve the problem out there for social media platforms, publishing platforms, because the advertising system is broken. And this is, I'm hoping to contribute today to this discussion.
My name is Pavel. I came here from Ukraine. So my background is information security and cryptography. And my career in blockchain started in early 2014. I was the team member of Stellar. And then I founded Distributed Lab, which has a mission to build financial internet based on technologies that we see now. So I believe that blockchain can change the way how people interact with each other. And that's why I try to evangelize this technology and explain people that it's not just hype, it's not just about getting rich, it's about transforming the way how people are doing accounting. And I've been long-term in opposition for utility tokens because I think it's just the way to build some shady financial schemes. But I'm very much about digitization of all processes, of all assets, of ownership, etc. And fractional ownership is just the next big thing.
Thank you. My name is Austin. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Crypterium, similar space actually to Eric, although we very different backgrounds getting there. So Crypterium is a payment solution that hopes to allow people to use cryptocurrency in an everyday environment in the same way as they would use a payment card. So you go to Starbucks, you use your mobile phone, you use Apple Pay, Starbucks charge you $20 for a coffee, and then you just double-click your Apple Pay and you can pay with your cryptocurrency. And we're a global solution rolling out right now right across the world with some major launches in Europe and the US in the next few weeks.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, everyone, for making it today. I think it's really interesting to see the difference in types of businesses being represented. Obviously, I want to kind of focus on consumer behavior and the adoption for the consumer and how we're bringing the consumer into the space, because at the end of the day, consumer mindset is one of those things that you just can't change. It's difficult, is what I'm saying. So when, consumer mindset, I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, get my coffee, I want to check to see if I have my wallet. Oh, there's my credit cards. Okay, I'm going to use okay, I feel safe. I'm going to accept 3. You know what? Today, I accept that I'm going to have 5% of fees because it's convenient for me. I have my bank, I have this, I have that. That's the consumer mindset, right? They feel comfortable. They have their cash, they have their keys, they have their, and this whole transformation into this this digital representation of their value now, and that change of thinking, because money is the number one thing, is the longest thing that has been intrinsic in our mindset. Money is tangible. Money is in your wallet. Money is something that you hold, you know? And now we're approaching into another territory where the consumer doesn't have anything that's tangible. And therefore, you know, from a consumer's mindset, it's a much different interaction with their value, and understanding how we go about educating, and to see the transformation just in the past 3-4 years alone in this space. Obviously, the price helps with getting the visibility out there. But from a consumer mindset, they want to know, how is this going to make me better? How is this going to make my day more efficient? And to be honest with you, and from my perspective as well, speaking from a consumer's perspective, I don't care. So how do they care? How do they get involved? And where are we seeing that level of adoption right now? And I'll keep it open for the panelists.
I would say a great focus we should have working in blockchain and crypto is looking at the Gen Z generation. It's hard for us maybe to adopt because we have formed our habits, but what I have learned now working with all these hundreds of thousands of teenagers from 160 countries, that this is an unbanked generation, an ungoverned generation. It's a generation that is not yet having these habits than all the others do, but at the same time they are feeling they are in crypto since years, because they are, through their games, they are used to digital assets, that they understand the value of digital assets. And so, I mean, they were the ones who pushed us also into blockchain and crypto. I think we should all, especially in e-commerce, now not be focused on millennials anymore. We should focus on this generation, which has already quite a lot of money available to spend. But of course, it's somehow in cash or not available on credit cards and in banking systems yet. And they appreciate to dive into this, to understand, okay, what's a token, what's a wallet. To educate and start with this generation, I think would bring us all, with all our products, further down the road.
Austin, you wanted to go ahead?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think Melanie's comment is very valid, but I don't think it's true that the older generations can't adapt. If you look at what happened with Alipay and WeChat, for example, in China, if you go to Shanghai now and you try and buy with cash, you might struggle. And you'll get 60-year-olds who'll quite happily transfer money between 2 mobile phones and understand exactly what they're doing. I think the key is getting them to find a use case. And for many of the older generation, they haven't got a use case right now. So why do they go onto the internet to buy a product? It's convenience and it's price. But if I have to go out and buy a Bitcoin, why is that making it more convenient for me? So there's no real use case right now for that group. I think Melanie's completely correct that the younger generation will pick this up much quicker. We have to find a reason why my mother or my brother or sister would actually think about trying to pay with a cryptocurrency on the internet right now. There is no real value proposition for them other than the fact that they might own it. But we know that not that many of them actually do own it. So that's the chicken and egg scenario. But I think we can get people to change. It's just we have to find that use.
Correct, and obviously everybody wants to use Bitcoin as an example for that use case. But you know, at the end of the day, from a retail perspective and from a transaction perspective, you know, Bitcoin isn't your strongest programmable token that actually would provide merchants and users as much benefit. It does provide benefit, because it obviously gives people a way of spending value without using the main rails. I don't know how many people understand how it really works when we're talking about the friction that consumers face. I mean, everybody here has a credit card, everybody here has a bank account, so this doesn't really apply as much to you as it would to the 7 other billion people in this world who don't. But we have shit built upon shit, layer after layer after layer after layer after layer, and this has been done, you know, over the years as we've been innovating. You know, we have mobile payment systems, we have Alipay and WeChat and PayPal and all these things, and that's why we have mobile payments today. That's why we have what we use today. I mean, you know, back in the day of in the early '90s and everything else, this is where we got to. It took this amount of time. It's just now we're on an accelerated process trying to fit new technology within an old framework. And that's kind of something that we're struggling with, and something that I wanted now to bring. Where is the friction? I think, Bobby, you know, for you, because obviously I work with tons of exchanges myself, and getting the consumer to understand how to interact with the exchange, giving them the opportunity to get involved in the ecosystem, and where they can actually then spread their wings, whether they're holding, whether they're saving for investment purposes, or whether there is an actual use case. But it'd be interesting to get your perspective on that.
Well, I think, you know, we're still in the early days, and for the last 5 years, and probably for the next 2, 3, 5 years, the use case is the getting into crypto and getting out of crypto. So, you know, only the very, very early people got their crypto through mining. These days, mining is all very industrial. So vast majority of us who own crypto, we purchased it with money. Not in the physical sense, but we did it on exchanges where we deposit fiat money and buy the Bitcoin. And that's been, I mean, that's the single hardest thing to do. Almost in life, it's like, how do you get your friends in crypto without giving it to them for free, you know? So that's been a huge headache for the industry. And I think it just tells us that there's a lot of resistance. When we say consumers, you know, some people think consumer is just for shopping, right? E-commerce and stuff like that. But even before you shop with crypto, you first have to get crypto. So there's a stage 0 of getting into crypto. That's also valid consumers, how to get in. In China, they get into crypto not for the e-commerce reasons, or not for the buying the coffee or buying airline tickets, but rather they buy the crypto for the purpose of either to speculate, it's a great vehicle to speculate, or it's a hedge against the currency, just like Chinese people actually buy foreign currencies. This is unheard of in the United States. You wouldn't go and buy some euros or Japanese yen, but in China, people do that. They buy the US dollar, they buy the euro, they buy, and then they would buy crypto to hedge against the renminbi. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And Pavel, I mean, obviously you're running a large operation out of Kiev, and you're developing a lot of great blockchain solutions, more on the technical side. And how are you, as a business, translating what you guys do on the technical and make that product ready or consumer friendly? Because I think what we struggle with right now, especially from speaking from consumer, because I'm a very simple person, you know, I'm very high level. We just don't get it yet. You know, we just want to know, how can I click a button? How can I create this? And how can I actually apply that? Right?
Yeah, first of all, I would say that consumers should not know about blockchain. That it doesn't need to concern them at all. Like cloud technology, like, do we care whether it's running on local computer or somewhere in the cloud? It just should work. On the second side is, if we come to the definition of blockchain, like there is no clear definition, but I usually explain it like this is the method of storage and synchronization of data between parties who don't trust each other. So from this definition, we come and look for the use cases that like have this problem when parties who don't trust each other have to like somehow reach a decision. And then from this perspective, we have like 5 industries that really require blockchain technology. They are like voting, supply chains, reconciliation, public registries, and trading. And then if this fits, then we have to work on the main like problem that concerns users is lack of transparency. So if users have a confidence that the thing that they're using is like really auditable and they can verify that what they did is indeed stored somewhere, then like they feel safe. So that's basically the main difference between traditional like digital technology and blockchain technology. In traditional technology, like a simple example, you log into your bank account and you see that yesterday you had $1,000 on your credit card. You did nothing, you spent nothing, and then next day you log in and you see $900. And you're like, what the fuck? I don't know, like where they went. You call to the bank and say, like, yesterday there was 1,000, but they say like, we don't know. Like, you see 900, that's it. So you cannot really prove that you've seen something, that it was there. And if there is this system will use cryptography to prove every transaction, and if customer stores all the proofs on their side, then it's possible to like really prove in the court that like basically what they did is there. So, and the blockchain technology enables this thing because you can synchronize this information between a variety of databases, and you can like gain confidence in the system that you are using.
I think it's fascinating to really put yourself in the consumer mindset right now, and to see what's going on in this space and to wrap your head around it. It's impossible. I mean, after 5 or 6 years, I'm still every day wrapping my head around things to understand exactly the division of this and how this will apply here and what this framework means, etc. But Pavel's right. I really don't need to know. But what I do need to know is how is this going to make what I do on for my business more efficient and more auditable and more secure and more transparent, because those are the main feature sets that I'm looking to solve as far as business problems of myself. So current business problems and current gaps are around auditability, are around security. You know, using and implementing this technology in what we currently do on a day-to-day basis, let alone talking about the cryptocurrency side of things, is phenomenal. I mean, you have an opportunity, and maybe Malik, you want to comment on this, about the payment stuff, but technically speaking, if you have real-time auditability, you don't really need AML, because you can actually track a payment from start to finish, and you have a true system that gives people real-time visibility on every single thing happening in the ecosystem.
Thanks. And I just want to kind of add to what Melanie and Austin said earlier, and in fact, we were chatting backstage a while back. So I totally agree with both of them, and I want to zoom out a little bit because the theme of our discussion is on e-commerce. So I just want to zoom out and see it from two perspectives. One is the whole value chain perspective, because whenever we talk about blockchain and any use case, I mean, it's great that the other panelists have articulated about use cases, but you have to look at the whole value chain and the supply chain. And the other is, as you kept talking about, putting the customer at the center of the whole ecosystem and thinking from a customer's or a user experience mindset. So let's look at the first aspect. And I just want to put some numbers for perspective out there. The global e-commerce trade is like projected to be around $3 trillion, and this is just B2C. The global payment space is close to 2.2 or projected to be $2 trillion. If you look at cross-border payments, it is about $700 billion. And I was just reading at last closing, the combined value of platforms, e-commerce platforms, Alibaba and Amazon is close to $1.3 trillion. Now let's think about, and we can talk all that we want, and we can wax eloquent about decentralization and customer having a choice, etc. And we don't need platforms. Let's put the platform at the center, and let's see how the platform adds value. And it's in 6 distinct aspects. So the first is from a customer standpoint, what do these platforms offer? Greater variety and choices as compared to the traditional retailer. The second is more trust. So you can, put and place an order from a vendor in China, and you don't have to worry about some unknown entity because there is an Alibaba who's kind of whom you trust and who will underwrite the transaction. The third is using so much customer data to generate more customization. So what I'm shown or what I will get is probably more tuned to what I want over a period of time. The fourth is this whole efficiency or greater efficiency in the supply chain. The fifth is trade finance, so how they manage the whole supply chain from the supplier to the end consumer. And the sixth is, of course, payment. So if they have solved for these 6 distinct buckets, and it's a myth that e-commerce, somehow just flipped a switch overnight. I have seen this space evolve because I have been in banking and finance for, in fact, in payments for 2 decades. So it's happened in step jumps. There was a time for the longest period when e-commerce had a big challenge and a bottleneck with payments. And over a period of time, as you said, the WeChat Pays and the other payment systems that you work with solved for it. Supply chain was another bottleneck. Customer experience was another bottleneck, and big data, et cetera, came into the picture. So if we understand all of these 6 aspects of the value chain, and then we transpose blockchain onto that, it instantly makes sense. Blockchain brings in more efficiencies at each of these 6 aspects of the value chain, and that's the true power of where blockchain can take retail to, retail 3.0 or e-commerce 2.0. Whether you call it supply chain, that's a classic use case. Payments, whether it is in terms of making more frictionless or cheaper or faster payments, classic use case. Trade finance, classic use case. Understanding the customers without the misuse of customer data, classic use case of blockchain. So that's how I see the role of blockchain, and I understand all of us have said it's very, very early days. E-commerce evolved over 2 decades or close to 25 years. We are probably not even in our 5th year of real applications and use cases. But if you really want to dimension how blockchain is going to transform and disrupt e-commerce, we have to think about this. And that's where we put the customer front and center of this whole journey.
So discussing now all these, how can we bring blockchain and crypto into retail, into commerce? First of all, we need to think, how can we bring crypto into the hands of the masses? And like Bobby said, it was formerly mining, and it's now in the hands of corporates. And I think we are now in this great age of bringing it slowly, step by step, to the masses, because now they can start mining in a new way. They can start mining and earning through creating content, through curating content, through, as a journalist, I can use Poet or Civic, or you have now all these amazing concepts out there, which will slowly allow everyone to participate, to earn before purchasing it, and to mine it in a new way. And I think these are now the concepts we need to be focused in the next step. And after the people earned, then we can also see, okay, how can we make it easier and easier for them to really spend it and to make use of it?
Before you speak, Austin, I was just going to make one comment, because I think it's really funny after what Melanie said. Everybody thinks that we've been around for like 20, 30 years, and you're supposed to be in this bank and that bank, and it's also, we've only been doing this now for like a couple years, and the amount of time that we've had in order to get to where we are now hasn't been that long, and we're at a very, very early stage still, So we have a long way to go in order to get to that point. But these companies that Melanie's mentioning, like Poet and these content creation platforms, and being able to have young talent and individuals and freelancers create that content and utilize something other than what actually pays their bills, that's going to take a moment. And educating and making sure that the youth all around the world are able to take advantage of technologies like this is what's going to make sure it becomes mainstream, because that's exactly how we use Facebook. That's exactly how we use, all of our apps today on our phone. It's taken time, so don't expect things overnight. We're in my opinion, and Pavel can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but we're still pre-HTTP. We're still pre-TCP/IP. There's no standards. There's no frameworks. Everybody's doing their own thing at the moment. and that'll kind of marry up, and we're going to see a lot of very interesting projects, I think, come together in the coming months. Oh, go ahead, Austin. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to follow on from that because I 100% agree with Melanie that there will be a lot of people who are earning it, but I also want to think about, I mean, we've heard this phrase actually quite a lot in this conference, which is a surprise, the shit coins. It will actually be the shit coins that will transform how people view cryptocurrency, because one of these coins is going to end up in the pockets of hundreds of thousands and millions of people. There'll be a gaming platform out there, or there'll be a loyalty program, let's say Walmart coins or an Air Miles that becomes a cryptocurrency rather than an Air Mile. And if you could spend your Air Miles on Amazon instead of having to spend them on your flights, you probably would. If you could spend your Walmart points on Amazon or on your favorite website, then you probably would. And I personally believe that the 20 million or so Bitcoin owners, or however many that is, if you compare that out of 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion internet users that are using e-commerce, then it's not going to be Bitcoin, it's not going to be Ethereum, it's not going to be any of these tokens that's actually going to transform the way we look at e-commerce. It will be suddenly a coin that is finding its way into your everyday pocket. You might not have earned it through a traditional means. You may have just done a review on a website, like Melanie's saying, or you may have just happened to shop at a particular station. And if I can spend that now in the internet, I now have a use case. Now, there are a lot of buttons on internet that say pay with Bitcoin. I don't think that's going to have any impact. I really don't. Maybe a very small amount of impact. What it would be is pay with cryptocurrency, any cryptocurrency, then people will change their attitudes.
But you're saying that people will start spending all these shit coins?
Not all of them, but some of them will they will transform from a shitcoin. It'll look like a coin that you just didn't realize had value, but suddenly
But it'll have so little value, you can't aggregate and spend it to buy anything meaningful.
It has value if it's on an exchange and has a value on the exchange.
Yeah, but the whole point of shitcoins, you're getting them for such low value. You might have, you might have a lot of it, but it would be worth so little. You're not going to buy anything on Amazon.
Depends how much you have. I mean, I've got probably.
The analogy is you find these coins on the street, like pennies or dimes, and yeah, you go get it, and then the first thing you do is trying to get rid of it. But you're not going to be spending it at any store, at Macy's or any Starbucks coffee, because it's not nearly enough.
But I agree with you completely, and that's why I'm not saying all of them, but there will be some that will flow through, and they will change people's attitudes. People are not going to go out and suddenly buy Bitcoin to use the internet, but they will use an asset that was given to them that hasn't got that much intrinsic value.
Do you have examples of this? Do you have examples of this happening in real life?
May I give some examples?
This is about the future.
I know, but your future's modeled on
how
you understand the world.
Let's talk about then a loyalty program. For example, a loyalty program that is now going to give out a digital token instead of.
So let's like airline miles, hotel reward points. They're great programs. I have them, and I can spend them on Amazon. Right, and American Express points can be easily used on Amazon.com.
Yes,
and American Express points, in my mind, is not a shit coin.
I love American Express coin.
No, I honestly believe. Let's give an example of a gaming. There's a wonderful ICO coming out called MetaLife. I don't know if you've heard.
I wouldn't put wonderful and ICO in the same sentence, but go ahead.
Okay, there's an ICO coming out called MetaLife. They've developed their own platform, a browser which can compete with Google if it has the right backing. But it also has a token that is going to be used by gambling sites, gaming and gambling.
It will never be.
Why
and
not?
I'll tell you why, Austin. And I've been in gambling way too long to tell you that, number one, they don't care. Number two, right now, they're dealing with so much regulatory shit and nightmare and stuff that they have way bigger issues to be dealing with. The sales cycle for actually getting into any big operator, whether it be a PokerStars or a micro gaming or a Playtech or whatever else, is a 2 to 3 year sales cycle. And anything you need to do, even on a new technology front, is impossible because of so much stuff and guts that have been built up over time. And I think what Bobby's saying is right. I mean, and I don't use the word shitcoins because I do agree with Melanie and Austin and you as well that there will be a value, but I do also agree with Bobby that that value is it depends on how you interpret that value and what the objective of that value is in terms of the utility, you know. But at the end of the day, it's something to where, you know, consumers just want a better means and a more efficient means. They don't give a shit at the end of the day. As long as they feel comfortable and safe and secure and they're entering a new space. I mean, I remember I was working in PayPal in 2004 when we were trying to, I mean, that PayPal was nothing. And the only reason why PayPal became what it became today is because we started processing for high-risk industries. Online gambling, adult, etc. Because that's where the money is. And that's what generated to where we are today, but we need that still.
That's a great point. I want to add to that. So I didn't realize that was what a key to success for PayPal. But I think with crypto, my take is that we remember, you know, the last 10 years, I think Silk Road played a huge part in demand for crypto because in order to get the stuff on Silk Road, you have to have crypto. I think that's still the future. In China now, certain things you can't buy with regular currency. You have to buy with crypto because they ship them from abroad. So whether, I'm not promoting illicit drugs or illicit goods, but I think in the future will come where normal processors will not process certain goods and services, and then the merchants will turn to crypto because it's more convenient, it's faster and more reliable, and then when the users and consumers want those merchant goods, then they will use crypto to purchase it. I think that's what I think the cycle will happen. I don't know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Certainly, I'm not proud that it's happened with drugs and stuff like that, but I think the future it will be legitimate stuff where consumers or even businesses will have to do procurement in crypto.
Go ahead, Melanie.
But adding to this point, I think there are going to be use cases, especially in the content creator space, where these actions that people are taking are going to be very valuable for advertisers. And this is where they are coming in and say, yeah, I want this data from gamers, or I want this content from content creators, and where they are going to pay for this access to this user-generated content. And I think this is where we will see great use cases of tokens that are going to be worth and valuable for these corporate structures, and people who are being able to monetize on mindshare, on content creation, or whatever, on micro jobs for being paid for that. So I see some use cases coming.
Oh yeah, I mean the use cases. And by the way, thank you everyone for your contributions. And the use cases are going to be there, but you know, we're still missing the point. And I think Bobby brought up a good point just a little while ago, that the use case is still the on-ramp and the off-ramp. It's still, if your content creators are getting their they got to pay their mortgage, they got to pay their bills, they got to pay their health, they have to exchange it, you know. And I think creating these platforms, and the more exchanges that we create, and the more liquidity that obviously that we provide, but it's just to give you an idea, it's still an amoeba. The size of this ecosystem is an amoeba in comparison with other industries. An amoeba, if people don't know what an amoeba is, it's smaller than a flea. An amoeba is on a flea. So it's, I'm just saying that we need the on-ramps and off-ramps first to be established. We need to understand exactly how we're changing that value, and actually how we're going to be onboarding more new value as well. But I do agree that those use cases will come. There will be so many cool games and airdrops and content creation platforms. But at the end of the day, from a consumer perspective, I want to know that my money is with me at night. And I want to know that if there's a problem, I can call a number and get it back. You know? So I know we only have about a minute or two left. Do do question and answer from audience? Maybe take 1 or 2 questions? Is that okay? Perfect. So I like always keeping it interactive. I know we have some great speakers on the panel today. I see a really strong hand in the back over there. Gentlemen, if you want to stand up and either come over here, introduce yourself, and I'll give you the mic, and you can ask your question.
Throw the blue box to him.
Blue box, great. The catch box, love it.
Speak right into the black circle.
That working?
Yeah.
Thank you. Super interesting panel. I have a question for people like working on implementations of this. What are the challenges that keep you up at night in terms of the development of the technology? I'm thinking, for example, about actually bringing an Ethereum-based microtransaction system in production. Like, what are you thinking around that, and what are the major challenges there?
I would say the major challenge is digital identity, and because we don't have that yet, and it should be somehow recognized by the majority of people, because otherwise system won't be like really usable. The second thing is management of your like private keys, because that's the crucial point to like really own your assets. And we, like as a whole society, are very bad in managing private keys. And we're really bad in managing internet security. And I think another like 5 to 10 years will pass until we will have like really stable solutions that are auditable, transparent, maybe open source, and people will trust them. So these 2 things are like the major ones. And then the other one would be the need to create like common rules for those who participate in this blockchain. Because if just one organization sets the rules, that's not a like real like benefit. And while we are agreeing for these rules, it takes a lot of time. So that's why all consortiums like sitting and talking forever, because it's a political issue.
Thank you.
Any other burning questions? We have time for probably 1 more. Yeah, you just stand up, take the box.
What are you guys' thoughts or visions on security token offerings? Asset-backed tokens.
Bobby, I think that's perfect.
I think it's great. I haven't seen one in implementation yet, but I'm in favor of it just because it has the backing of regulators. So I look forward to that. I hope it takes over the industry very soon.
I would say it makes sense because it's just about digitization of ownership. So perfectly good.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Okay, well, great. I want to thank you for the panelists for being here today. Thank you, audience members. Any people that want to ask questions or come up, they'll be available to speak. And thank you very much. And enjoy lunch today, everybody.
Thank you to our panel. Next, we have our coffee and networking break until 1:20 p.m. Please be back in your seats by 1:20 so that you can hear the talk from Alex Mashinsky, top speech, founder of Celsius Network and author of over 50 patents. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the staff, the hotel staff, the behind the scenes. And please be back in your seats by 1:20 p.m. Be ready for the next presentation. Thank you.